I think it's more important than ever for people to look past the political system. You know, Unfortunately, a lot of people put a lot of faith in that, and well, doesn't matter which way you lean on the political spectrum. It's it you know It still seems that the majority of people are not happy, which means that, well, okay, since politicians have had a track record of failing people. So what you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do for your life? You know, and and again, I know there's variables. Maybe people have kids, or I know there's variables, but you have to take take that time and think about that carefully, and envision what do you want the rest of your life to be like, and then take steps to get there. That's what reaching the finish line is all about. Writing 2 books about that. If you haven't already, I recommend you check those out. But for many people, it's in another country, and for example, African dreaming is very happy there in Tanzania. I'm happy in Mexico. I see other expats in other countries, happy, but I think what I encourage people to do is to educate yourself beyond mainstream media. Because as soon as you get on mainstream media or you go to a travel state website, they're going to scare the crap out of you, and you're not going to want to go anywhere. They're going to tell you, as soon as you step in Mexico, you're going to get kidnapped, or don't go to this place in Africa because there's a war or whatever it is. Like they want to scare the crap out of you so you don't go anywhere. You know, and the truth is, there are very peaceful and pleasant places and very prosperous places outside of the USA. You just have to, just take charge and see for yourself. Sometimes people do a discovery trip. They go somewhere for 2 weeks, for a month, to kind of talk to people there, experience it for themselves, and then the second trip, maybe they make the move or something like that. TD has a question. Uh, where in the world do you think African Americans are moving the most? Wow, that's a good question. You know, and I think a lot of African Americans are typically going to Latin America, and I would say secondly Africa. I think those are the 2 areas specifically. A lot of people go to Africa to kind of as opportunity to be in touch with their roots. Maybe they still have family there. In African Dreaming's case, African Dreaming had contacts there, so that made it easier for them, which is very, very smart. They already had contacts there, so for them, their transition was much easier than people who wouldn't have contacts there. So I think those 2 regions are among the most popular for African Americans. One thing you don't have to worry about is, at least in Mexico, they don't care if you're black or Mexican or whatever. They treat you like they treat everyone else. So a lot of those unfavorable conditions that ethnic minorities face, places like Mexico, places like Africa, places like other parts of the world, you get treated like everyone else. So I think that's one thing that a lot of ethnic minorities really appreciate, that they're treated like everyone else. And they're not treated inferior, or they don't have to worry about a lot of the problems that still continues to happen in the USA. And I think this trend will continue. Um, Mexico in itself has 1.5 million expats. in Mexico. 1.5 million. More Americans live in Mexico than any other foreign country in the world. But Mexico is not ideal for everybody. Uh, for example, I think Africa is probably one of the best areas to like. So there's a singer, Akon. I like a lot of his songs. And he was saying, he said like if you wanted to be rich in the fastest amount of time as possible, he says go to Africa. And I really agree with him with that, because the whole point is many Americans, we come from this whole developed mindset about how things they should be, In Africa, in some countries, they don't always have that context. And the same can be said for Latin American countries. They don't always have that context. They don't always have that vision. They don't always have that type of that structure, And by us bringing our ideas there, seeing what works in the U.S. well, and duplicating that in another country, I agree with Akon. Like literally, like people can go to Africa and potentially, they can have significantly more success than they would in the U.S. in a very short time. Yeah, because so there are those opportunities, and like I said, people can also do those type of things in Latin America, and I see that in Mexico. For example, we look at TD likes Akon songs too. Yeah, Akon is I like a lot of his songs. Um, so we see that in for example, Mexico, right? So U.S. had Uber, and then Mexico created their own version of Uber. They have something called DD, basically it's Uber, and it just basically, and that's a Mexican brand, but that's all it really takes, It's just seeing what works in one country, and if you have the capital, or if you have the connections, or if you have the resources, you can duplicate that in your country or in your adopted country, assuming that you want to kind of be an entrepreneur. If not, that's fine too. I did a video. I'll put a card or put it in description about if you wanted to just work remotely, whether you want to do some type of internship or apprenticeship or remote job, or I actually have a whole list, and the great thing about this is many people are eligible for all of these types of work situations, and you can get on average $15 an hour, and I can definitely tell you $15 an hour in the developing world, in any Latin American country or African country, it goes a very, very long way. Some people always think, man, I wish I could live like this person or this person or this person, and their income limits them to a certain lifestyle. But if you take that income to another country, you can you can basically upgrade your lifestyle. I'll give you one example. There's these gated communities, in the U.S. The average person in the U.S. cannot afford to live in a gated community. That's just the reality. These are type of communities where they have security guards, typically with guns. Very nice. Typically there's a large park in these gated communities. There's a swimming pool, and there's these other amenities, sometimes even a library. These other amenities in these gated communities. And in the U.S., you're going to pay anywhere between $3 to $4,000 a month to live like that. There are some kind of more modest gated communities, and maybe you'll pay 2 to 3,000. Okay, maybe if you're in Nebraska or someplace like that. But the truth is, they have a lot of these same places in other countries. In Mexico. My girlfriend and I, we lived in one of these gated communities in Querétaro. It looked exactly the same, well, very similar to a gated community in the U.S. It had a big big park in a gated community. It had a skateboard park. You know, if you wanted to do the skateboard, it had a basketball court. It had a grocery store inside the gated community. I'm talking about an actual grocery store. You know, I'm not talking about not talking about a 7-Eleven. It had an actual grocery store inside the gated community. It had a pharmacy. You know, had a pharmacy. It had a doctor's office. You know, basically, it was so well equipped that if you didn't want to, you wouldn't need to leave the gated community because it basically had almost everything you needed. My girlfriend and I lived in that gated community. We lived in one of the neighborhoods there inside. It was a two bedroom, one bathroom house, all on one floor. I know this is hard to believe. I know this is hard to believe, but this is the truth. We paid. I paid. I paid $350 a month, and this is all utilities included. So I wasn't paying water, wasn't paying electricity, wasn't paying internet. The apartment was fully furnished. $350 a month. This was in 2018, 2019. And that's just one example of what's possible.